off is talking about mixed martial arts fighting, and we're talking about Jackson's, of course. Jackson's Series 7 coming up very soon. And who's headlining that card? Michelle Waterson. You might know her as the Karate Hottie. Here she is.
Hello.
And Michelle, you know, like this is you're returning back
Yes.
to the octagon and your time off. What is that whole thing? What has that been like?
Oh, it's definitely been a roller coaster. Um, it's been almost 2 years since I've last fought, so I'm actually real excited to get into the ring. And for me, this time around is kind of like a personal goal of mine, because I wanted to continue to fight after I had my daughter, and this this Saturday the 21st is where I'm going to be able to prove that I can still do that.
And as far as taking the time off, is it good and bad? I mean, like as far as bad, as far as you got to do a lot of stuff to get caught up again, but good in the fact that maybe you appreciate everything a little bit more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh, I can't, like, I'm so grateful to be, in the gym. And, I only have like an hour where I could train.
Mm-hmm.
And like that hour I would definitely used to take for granted before, and now it's
Yeah.
like that's all I get, so I better work hard for it, So it's definitely hard balancing motherhood and fighting career, but we make it work.
But you know what? You're balancing motherhood and a fighting career, but it helps that you're in such great shape because you got to keep up with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does definitely make sense. I think the hardest part for me is the sleep, like the sleep patterns, because she's just all over the place, and then when she sleeps, I want to sleep, but then I'm like, oh, she's sleeping, I can get up and do this, and it's a lot of adjusting.
Well, when you said the word sleep, the first word that came to my mind was deprivation. So I know you guys have been dealing with that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your opponent. I mean, you've had time to look at some tape and stuff of your opponent,
Mm-hmm.
and what is this going to be like? What is this fight going to be like?
Well, you know what, Diana Real, she's from Colorado, so and she's real aggressive, so I'm expecting her to come out at me kind of hard, because she thinks that she's probably thinking, I'm coming off of 2 years
Right.
layoff, and I might be a little rusty, so I think she's gonna try to come at me hard, but I don't think it's anything I haven't seen before. Everybody comes at me hard because they want to take my head off, and that's just that's what it is what it is. So I'm just gonna, kind of I'm gonna do my game plan,
Right.
and I've been peaking the right ways. I've been working my stand-up, my ground, and like I said, I have so much more passion for it this time around because I'm not taking it for granted. And so, whatever she has for me, I think I'll be able to handle.
What's been the hardest part about trying to get back in the mix after being off? Excuse me.
My core. Like, this whole area was not working.
Signs up. This section closed. And
Yeah, it was just getting my core strength back was so hard, and I've been working with Steve over at Turning Point Strength and Conditioning, and he's been helping me get my core back, and I'm real thankful for him for helping me out. But that, and after you have a baby, your body changes.
Right.
And so, like, when I first started training, my hips would pop in and out, and because your bones loosen up so that you can have a baby, obviously, and it takes a while to get back. So my hips would pop in and out of place, and it takes a while, and I kind of had to come to terms with that. It does take a while. I'm not just gonna jump right back into it. So I struggled with that for a little bit here and there, like, oh, why isn't it falling into place like it needed to be? But it's just because I needed to push myself and challenge myself.
What are you expecting from yourself as far as what are you trying to do this first time out? Are you just wanting to make sure you secure a win and just or do you want to make it very decisive? What do you want to do it?
I do want to secure that win, and I think any fighter always wants it to be really decisive. And So that's my mindset. I'm gonna go in there and show everybody that I'm back for good. I'm not playing around, and I'm headlining the show. Like, this isn't something that I can take lightly, and I haven't taken her lightly. So I'm gonna I'm definitely back to prove a point for sure.
And you headlining this show. Where are you hoping some of this stuff will lead to? As far as maybe you being even on bigger cards and stuff like that? Are you hoping that there's some people out there seeing you? Or
Yeah, I always hope that there's other people out there seeing it, and there's you always want better things,
right.
but I'm real grateful for Coach Jackson and Ricky to put me on the card and to actually let me headline the show. So my first fight back. So I'm real thankful for that, and Ricky's done a lot of great things for us here in Albuquerque, and who knows, maybe the Jackson series will just get bigger here, and he'll be able to promote us here, and we'll get paid better and better as the promotions get bigger and bigger. We just need the fans here from Albuquerque to come out and cheer us on.
And she's talking about Ricky Cottenstead, the man who's behind the Jackson Series MMA. He's putting the fights together.
Mm-hmm.
I look into I put in some names about MMA fighters, female, like and looking at the people that you might fight in the future, stuff like that. And there's one name on there that she's not doing that right now. She's in the movies. Gina Carano.
Mm-hmm.
I know she probably wouldn't fight you because she wouldn't be in your weight group. She'd probably fight somebody like Holly Holm. But are you hoping to do something like that? Are you is this just strictly MMA, or would you branch out into other things, because you have the appearance to do that?
Yeah. You know what? To me, sky's the limit. If the opportunity ever presented itself, I definitely would jump on it, because it is an opportunity, for me to better my life and better my family. And now that I do have a family, those are things that I have to think about. And I love mixed martial arts, and Gina is actually doing a great job at promoting mixed martial arts, because she's out there in the mainstream. Not a lot of people completely understand mixed martial arts.
Right.
So by Gina doing this movie, there's just going to be a whole another group of people that are going to be like, oh, she's an MMA fighter, and then they're going to tap in. So they both go hand in hand. So if I can do movies to help my martial arts career, I would love to do that. And if I can do martial arts to help me in movies, I would love to do that.
Have you had anybody approach you of anything like that, or any opportunities going that way?
I've done a couple things here and there.
I know you did Bully Beatdown, but other things.
Yeah. Right now, there is a guy who has written a script, and he's interested in me being the main actress for the role. But he's just looking for funding right now. So that's kind of.
So we should be like ready. The next big thing. This is it right here.
Keep our fingers crossed.
I mean, have you done any TV shows or anything like that? Because like you're in Albuquerque, and there's a lot of action right now for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I've worked on a couple of different films and here and there, but most of it was stunt work, which I love to do because it's a lot of physical work.
Oh, you like the stunt work?
Yeah, it's fun. But, I don't mind being in front of the camera either. I actually, in high school, I grew up in theater, and I know theater is different from film, but I grew up doing that, and then when I did go to college, I was majoring in theater, so I didn't finish it, but that was my original intent, And just college and martial arts, it was... I was like kind of at that crossroads in my life of what to do, and I ended up going to Thailand with my mom, and the road just took me to fighting, and I fell in love with it, and it's become a passion of mine, and martial arts has always been a part of my life, and hopefully it always will be. So whether I can do martial arts in the fighting arena or in on the film industry, or even with the new school that's opening up, martial arts is what I want to be involved in my life.
Oh, that's cool. Now you, I know that your other half, does that intimidate guys when somebody's skilled like yourself, as far as can fight like that? Have you found it to freak guys out, like, oh, I better not make some wrong move. She might pop me.
I don't think so. I think we kind of like joke around here and there, but uh,
You can definitely protect yourself.
I can
If
definitely
you were
protect.
walking to your car, some knucklehead jumped out like, "Hey, I'm gonna take her purse." No, you're not.
And see, that's what I like try to tell like my fiance. Like I can protect myself, and I like one time, me and him got jumped downtown.
Oh wow.
And we were really drunk, and kind of don't remember like the whole situation, but basically there were these kids just looking for trouble, and it was just me and him, walking down the street, and we were walking down an alley, and they just like ran up on. So all I really remember is him pushing me out the way, and then me like. You ever have those dreams where you're like trying so hard to like punch somebody
And you
nothing?
can't even lift your arm. It's like,
Yeah, you're
ah.
and that's what I remember waking up the next day like, hey, I had a dream that we got jumped, and he's like, oh, you had a bad dream then, and then like I went to hug him, and he's like, oh, and I like look on his back, and he has all these like, like kick marks and stuff like that, but I was so upset that I didn't do anything, because I'm like, here in my head, I'm a professional fighter, and how can I have not done nothing, And he's like, he's so protective over me, even though he knows that I'm a professional fighter. He doesn't want me getting involved in any of that stuff, and he's like, you're a professional fighter, but on the streets, it's a different story, and he's like, if I can protect you, I'm always going to protect you. So he's never like, oh, she can take care of herself. He's really protective over me. So
I know you got stuff to do, so I'll wrap it up here. But I want to ask you, where you think the sport is headed as far as mixed martial arts fighting for women? Because, it seems like the sport just keeps growing. Where do you think the women's side of it is headed?
Well, hopefully, I know Dana White just bought over Strikeforce, and it might take a little bit of convincing to get women in the UFC, but I think as the sport evolves and as he kind of realizes how passionate we are about it, then he's going to kind of, slowly open up and let us in. I fight at 105, which isn't really a popular weight class for females, but, how long did it take for the little guys to get into UFC? 10 years?
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time, and the sport's only evolving, so we can just be patient, and I'm just glad to be a part of the movement,
Good. Well said. Well said. Michelle Waterson, mixed martial arts fighter. We'll see you next time on the Sports Office, and who knows who we'll have here next time.